I covered every shift for my pregnant coworker, even slept in the office twice. She came back, took credit for my work, and got promoted over me. I didn't cry. I asked her to lunch. Showed her the email she accidentally sent me, mocking my work ethic. Then I told her boss everything. Now she's on leave again, but not for pregnancy. I used to think the office was a fair place, that if you worked hard, stayed out of drama, and just kept your head down, people would notice, that it would matter in the long run. But I learned that being quiet and dependable doesn't get you anywhere unless someone louder decides you're useful.
That's what happened to me.
I was working at a mid-sized tech company, nothing flashy, but the pay was decent, the benefits were okay, and I had a stable routine. I was in client relations. My job was to keep our clients happy, track their progress with our tools, help them set goals, and smooth out any problems. It wasn't glamorous, but I liked the structure. I was good at it. Organized, focused, not easily flustered. I didn't hang out at the coffee machine or join the gossip, but I was always the first to step in when things got messy. I thought that meant something. There was a woman on our team named Kira. She was bubbly, well-dressed, always knew how to say the right thing in meetings. She could be funny and charming in front of clients, but she never really delivered on the back end. She'd forget to update CRMs, drop the ball on follow-ups, and often ask others to review her reports before sending them off. Just a quick glance, she'd say. I noticed early on that she often shifted her workload around without being direct about it. She'd ask for help and then disappear. Still, we got along. We weren't close, but we were friendly enough. I never thought she had any reason to see me as anything more than a helpful coworker. Then she announced her pregnancy, and things shifted. At first, I was genuinely happy for her. She seemed excited. She had a lot of appointments, a lot of time off. I understood that. But slowly, her workload started spilling onto the rest of us. Our manager at the time was trying to be supportive but passive about it. If anyone can help cover this until Kira's back full-time, it'd be appreciated. No direct orders. Just quiet pressure. I picked up some of her clients. Then more. Then I was looped into all her meetings. Eventually, I was managing her full roster, emails, follow-ups, deadlines, even strategy calls. She stopped showing up to the virtual meetings completely, but left her name on the agendas. I remember her writing, "Let me run point. She's great at this." Like it was a compliment.
I didn't feel complimented.
I felt buried. It got worse. I was staying late nearly every night. My own clients still needed support. I'd do her reports, then mine. Sometimes I didn't leave the office until 11 p.m. Twice, I just crashed on the break room couch. The vending machines were my dinner. I told myself it was temporary, that people were noticing, that this would help me later, when promotions came up, that being useful would eventually mean being valued. When she went on official maternity leave, I was relieved. I thought maybe now I could get back to normal. But there was no temp. No one replaced her. The manager said, "You've got a good handle on it. Just a few more months." So I kept going. I handled 2 roles for nearly 4 months. Then she came back.
She didn't ease in.
She didn't offer to take anything off my plate. She just showed up, started scheduling team syncs and talking about her remote strategies. I figured maybe she was trying to reassert herself. I didn't want to make it harder. I thought if I just kept doing the work, someone higher up would make the connections. Then we had our quarterly meeting. That's when they announced she was being promoted to team lead. No warning, no interview, no review process. Just a company-wide email saying she'd be leading our client relations department into the next chapter, building on her strategic leadership over the past 6 months. I read that line 5 times. 6 months? She wasn't even there for most of it. And when she wasn't doing any of the work. I was. I went home that night and didn't sleep. Not out of anger, but out of confusion. I felt stupid. Like I had been tricked into building a case for her advancement with my own sweat. And I hadn't said a word. That was the worst part. I had let it happen. After the promotion, she started acting like a boss. Delegating. Disappearing for long strategy blocks on her calendar. She still sent me reports to polish. She'd forward client questions with no context and say, Can you handle this? Then take credit when they responded positively. I was exhausted. I felt invisible. And then one day, she slipped up. I got an email from her. At first, I thought it was work-related, but the subject line caught me. Hard work LOL. That's not how we label internal files. I clicked it, and my stomach turned. It was a message meant for someone else. Maybe a friend. Maybe someone outside the company. She had accidentally CC'd me. Inside it said, I swear, she thinks being a little office martyr will get her promoted. I barely do anything, and they still believe I'm some corporate genius. Let her keep running herself into the ground. It only makes me look better. I sat there, rereading it. I felt heat in my face, then cold. It was like someone took everything I had worked for and twisted it into a joke. Not just a joke, her plan. I didn't respond. I didn't forward it to HR right away. I let it sit. I let myself think. 3 hours later, I messaged her. Want to grab lunch? My treat.
She said yes.
We went to a little cafe near the office. I made small talk. I let her ramble. She seemed relaxed, maybe even smug. Then I took out my phone and opened the email. Turned it toward her. She stopped talking. Her eyes locked on the screen.
She didn't speak.
Just sat there, frozen. I leaned in and said, I already forwarded it to HR.
I hadn't yet.
But I did. Right after lunch. And not just the email. I sent everything. Screenshots of Slack requests where she dumped work on me. Drafts of reports I wrote that she submitted under her name. A breakdown of my workload versus hers, with timestamps, calendar entries, and emails. It took me the whole afternoon to put it together. But I wanted it airtight. 1 week later, she was gone. Official word was that she was on leave. But people started whispering. She was under investigation. HR had questions.
Some of our clients had been contacted.
The leadership team went silent. She hasn't come back. And me? I'm still here. Still doing the work. Still quiet, but not invisible anymore. After she went on leave, things didn't get better right away. People started acting weird around me. Not everyone, just a few on our team, who had always been close to Kira. They didn't know exactly what happened, but they knew something was off. One of them, Josh, barely looked at me during meetings. Another, Lena, started copying me on emails I wasn't even part of, almost like she was trying to build her own paper trail. I didn't care about being liked anymore. I was done with pretending to be part of a team that only respected noise. But I did care about what came next, because after Kira left, HR didn't say much. They thanked me for the documentation, said they were conducting an internal review. But they didn't offer anything. No apology, no recognition, no correction to the team-wide email about her promotion. Her name was still listed on the org chart for another 2 weeks. Eventually, our manager called me in. He thanked me again, flat, rehearsed. Said it was a difficult situation, and they were reviewing processes to ensure fairness moving forward. Asked if the team lead position was still active. He said they'd circle back after organizational alignment. Whatever that meant. For the next month, things were tense. I was doing the job of 2 people still. No promotion. No title change. No raise. Just a slightly nicer tone in meetings and fewer Slack messages from Kira's loyal friends. Then the rumors started. Apparently, Kira had filed a complaint. Not against me, but against the company. Said she was being unfairly targeted during maternity recovery. That she was punished for asking for help and delegating while transitioning back. I wasn't named directly in the filing, but people knew. They always know. HR didn't tell me anything, but I saw the signs. A new HR person started sitting in on our meetings. People were suddenly using phrases like work-life balance and mutual support. Like everyone had memorized some script. Meanwhile, I was still doing everything. Still carrying the clients. Still covering Kira's overdue files because no one else picked them up. She wasn't officially fired. Just on leave pending outcome of review. One Friday afternoon, I got a calendar invite from a woman I didn't know. Legal department. It was marked confidential. I showed up to the Zoom call, and it was just her and someone from HR. They wanted to understand my role during the time Kira was out. They asked very careful questions, like, did Kira ever explicitly ask you to complete her reports? Were you aware she was still managing clients remotely? Can you confirm whether you volunteered or were directed to take over her responsibilities?
They weren't looking to help me. They were looking to cover themselves.
I answered honestly. I told them I wasn't forced. I offered to help. But I also made it clear she was not working. She was faking it, and I had the proof. Again. After that, everything got colder. Lena stopped inviting me to team lunches. Josh started looping our manager into every email with me, even for small stuff. One day, I walked by a group in the break room, and they went silent when I came in. I wasn't imagining it. And then I found out something that made my stomach drop. One of Kira's old clients reached out to me, confused. Said they had received a strange invoice for a service package that didn't exist. I checked the logs. She had billed them under a trial program that never got approved. And it had happened 3 months ago, while she was still on leave. I pulled the records. There were others. Small charges, nothing huge. But they added up. Fake service bundles. Upsells that were never delivered. One client even complained in an old support ticket that Kira promised follow-up but ghosted. No one ever followed up on it. It got buried. I made a folder. Every invoice. Every timestamp. Every internal note she left. Then I sent it to legal. This time, I CC'd my manager. I didn't hear anything for a week. But something had changed. Her name vanished from the org chart. The internal staff directory now listed her profile as inactive. The team got an email saying Kira had decided to pursue opportunities outside the company. No goodbyes. No thank you for her service. Just erased. But it didn't end there. About a week later, someone from accounting messaged me privately. Said legal was following up on a discrepancy pattern and asked if I could confirm my own client interactions. I said yes. I gave them everything. Then I asked, is this just about her? The reply came 2 minutes later. Not just her. There's more we're reviewing. That was the moment I realized she wasn't acting alone. I thought it was over when she was removed from the system. When her picture disappeared from the internal org chart and the company sent out that cold, vague email. I thought the damage was contained. But I was wrong. She wasn't working alone. 2 days after that message from accounting, I got pulled into another meeting. This one wasn't scheduled ahead of time. It just popped onto my calendar with 5 minutes notice. It was with someone from legal again and a new name from compliance. They said they had follow-up questions about the files I sent in. They asked if anyone else ever helped Kira submit reports. If anyone ever signed off on her billing. If any of her activity could have been approved by someone in management. At first I said no. I didn't want to guess. But then I remembered something small. A few months ago, Kira sent me a message after a client complained about a weird billing charge. She told me not to worry about it, said, already handled. Josh cleared it. At the time, I thought she meant Josh from finance since they used to chat a lot. But now it hit me, she was getting help. I told legal about the message. They went quiet for a second. One of them asked, did you document that anywhere? I hadn't, but I remembered that I saved the Slack export when I was backing up my old laptop, just in case. I told them I'd find it. That night, I stayed up digging through my folders. I found the chat. I sent the screenshot. The next morning, Josh was gone. No explanation. No email. His name vanished like hers. It didn't stop there. By the end of that week, 3 more people were on leave. 1 from finance. 2 from another department I didn't even know she was connected to. It turned out Kira had been quietly building her own safety net, pulling favors, shifting tasks, trading help for silence. One of them had approved her fake client invoices. Another had been covering calendar gaps, pretending she was in strategy meetings by blocking out fake invites. One had even signed her name on internal handoffs so it looked like she was responding to follow-ups. They were all helping her build a fake presence while I was drowning in her workload. And the worst part? HR knew something. Maybe not the full picture, but enough. Enough to not ask questions when I was pulling double shifts. Enough to let her come back and take a promotion. Enough to not notice that I was doing 2 jobs while she disappeared. The company opened a formal investigation, not just into her, into process integrity, management oversight, and misuse of internal systems. That's how they worded it. I was interviewed again, this time by someone from the executive team. They wanted to know how far it went, who knew, who looked the other way. And that's when I realized the thing that really broke me. I had been recommended for the promotion months ago. Quietly, my name had been on the list. My manager at the time had pushed for me, but someone above overruled it, said it was bad optics to overlook a returning mother from leave. They promoted her because it looked good, because it made them feel progressive, not because she earned it. And they used my work to justify it. That's when I stopped being quiet. I didn't just cooperate, I started digging. I went through every old project I touched that had her name on it. I documented everything, not to destroy anyone, but to protect myself. Because now I saw how fast they could flip the story. I was no longer just a witness. I had become a threat. And that's when I found something worse. An internal memo. I wasn't supposed to see it. It was misfiled in the wrong folder, attached to an outdated project packet.
It was about me.
And it said, consider managing perception risk if she becomes aware of the promotional override decision. Potential loyalty risk if she feels manipulated or overlooked. Not employee, not person.
Perception risk.
I wasn't just invisible. I was disposable. I stared at that sentence, perception risk, for almost an hour. I wasn't mad at Kira anymore. Not really. She played the system and used it to get ahead. That was who she was. But the system let her do it. And worse, it used me to make it happen. I was just a quiet worker who didn't complain, so they used my silence to prop up their fake idea of leadership. And they planned to keep me quiet again. So I made a plan. I didn't send angry emails. I didn't make threats. I started collecting everything. Every email. Every document with mismatched timestamps. Every thank you from clients where she got credit, but I did the work. Every note I had ever taken during client handovers. Screenshots of Slack conversations. Her shared folders that still had my report drafts saved in them. I even pulled the time logs from our server showing when I was active and she wasn't. Then I reached out to a friend from university who worked in employment law. I asked questions, took notes. I didn't file anything yet. I wasn't ready to give the company a heads up. Instead, I started looking for a new job. Quietly. It took 2 months. I played along in meetings. I smiled. I took on tasks. But every evening, I sent out resumes. I updated my LinkedIn. I started responding to recruiters. I got a few offers, but I waited. I wanted something solid. Something that came with its own HR department that didn't use the words perception risk. Then I got it. A job at a competitor. Same role, but with a team lead position attached and a $20,000 salary increase. They valued documentation. They valued process. They even offered a sign-on bonus. I accepted. But I didn't leave quietly. The day I resigned, I submitted a printed letter. And attached to that letter was a 33-page report. Every lie, every fake invoice, every cover-up, every internal memo I had collected, especially the one that called me a loyalty risk. I didn't send it to just HR. I sent it to the CEO, the board, the legal team, every senior manager who had ever been in the room while Kira got credit for my work. I walked out that same afternoon. 2 weeks later, I heard the company was being audited. A quiet, internal review that wasn't so quiet anymore. Someone from finance reached out, said they were cleaning house. A few people had been quietly let go. My old manager stepped down. And then Kira popped up again. She posted some inspirational quote on LinkedIn about rising from betrayal and strong women not needing permission. But her job title was empty. No company listed. I didn't engage. But I knew she saw where I worked now. A month after that, I got a message from one of the clients I used to manage. They'd moved their account to my new company. Said they followed me. said they trusted me more than the brand. I sat at my new desk looking out the window, something I never had at the last place, and just felt still. Not proud. Not angry.
Just done.
People always think revenge is about shouting or slamming doors. But real revenge? Real revenge is being the one they never saw coming. The one they underestimated until it was too late. It's not about making them pay. It's about making sure they never get the chance to use you again. And I made sure of that.